Hey, hello, and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me is John Bristowe. How you doing, John?
I'm good. How's everyone doing out there? I hope everyone's well, etc., etc.
I'm doing pretty good. It is like the time of season where the temperatures are crashing hard. We start off at a nice like 60 degrees, and we're headed to 30 tonight. So it's crash and burn,
All
or
right.
crash and freeze rather.
It's always best to have it happen after Halloween. That way you don't have to wear your snowsuit over your Superman costume. But
Yeah, yeah, we did get lucky, and it came. The cold weather came the weekend after, or the middle of the week after Halloween. So
perfect.
just a few days ago. Yeah, it's always a gamble up here. So we've had it where it's too hot to wear your costume, and then we've had it where it's so cold you gotta, like you said, throw a snowsuit over it. So having good temperatures. It did rain. It rained pretty bad, but it was still decent enough. We got out there and did our thing. But yeah. Let's share some stories, John. I've got a lot of interesting stuff this week. It's like the news cycle is just burning today. So .NET Conf.
Yes.
Let's get to that last. Sorry, I didn't have that one up there first. Start off with something, I guess, funny, unless you were scammed out of lots of money. This one, it's kind of like, you gotta say, really, folks? When I read the headline, even Squid Game cryptocurrency creators pull the rug out from under investors and steal millions. Is anybody surprised? Like, John, are you shocked? Shocking news.
I would just want to know if they're going to purchase one of those big plastic piggy bank things that they had in the TV series for all their millions, I guess.
Giant plastic piggy bank. Did you catch the show? Did you watch it? Sounds like you did.
Yes, I did. So there's a very famous scene where you in the next to the ceiling there's this big piggy bank, translucent plastic piggy bank that's filled with won, which is the Korean currency, and for every person that dies, they fill it up with more currency. So yeah, I'm sure these folks have decided maybe they'll do something like this. I would just say, I mean,
seems
there's
like
reasons why
a meme coin every week now.
Sure.
And, it's just a matter of time before something like this happened. Like people, throwing all their money in this crazy stuff, hoping to be the next. It'll be the next Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, there's Dogecoin and all kinds of other coins, and just be careful. I would say that's all the only advice I can give.
So Squid Coin, the creators basically just wrapped things up and ran away with the money. And we'll see. Like, I don't even know what the legal ramifications of this could even be. Like, what precedent has been set for this, right?
Well, how could you police this? I mean, it crosses international boundaries. It's very difficult. So
yeah. So do your due diligence, people. Squid Coin's probably not the right way to go. Why is my camera so blurry? Holy cow! Am I coming in that blurry?
Yep, there you go. Now you're better.
Alrighty. I don't know what's going on there. Come on, browser. There we go. Come on. Why is it doing this? Hang on a minute. Browser's not playing nice. There, that's the one I wanted.
Okay.
Everything you want to know about GitHub Universe 2021. Yes. I wasn't able to attend. What do we need to know, John?
Not too much. If you've been following this show or you've been reading the GitHub blog, you're pretty much up to date as to terms of everything that's been posted. GitHub Universe is GitHub's sort of one big event at the end of at this case, the end of 2021, near the end of 2021, where they basically they do a big conference, and it's virtual, and they talk about all the things that they've shipped. They didn't announce too many new things. The biggest one that came about was the new, the stuff that's listed here as far as what you're being exposed to. But all these things have been publicly disclosed on their blog, so there wasn't any big announcements that were present. But the universe is really just a summary of the videos that they've published, the sessions that they've done. So if you're looking for detailed sessions on the new features and highlighting what you can do with those new features, then this is definitely something worth checking out. So recently, our group at Octopus Deploy had been using the new projects experience that GitHub shipped. I'm on the issues beta. There's some nice things there. We've been playing around with code spaces a little bit, which has been fun. So code spaces are these sort of virtualized environments that host GitHub, and you can have runners and things like that. So it's kind of an extension of Actions if you think of it that way, but it's fully containerized, etc. So yeah, lots of stuff there worth checking out if you're looking to watch a video or two on your commute. Not watch, obviously, but listen to. But if you're looking to watch a video maybe in some downtime, this is definitely something worth checking out.
Yeah, I think we better covered this last week with JetBrains supporting Copilot.
Yep.
If we didn't, that's pretty cool that there's other editors out there supporting that as well. Yeah, I like the idea of them wrapping up all of their videos in one event like this, even if it's not a live event. At least it's what it sounds like you're describing. It's not a live event, but something that they put together ahead of time. Still,
yeah. I think sometimes they're actually no, that's not true. They do. Last year they were live. This year I think they were pre-recorded, but it doesn't matter. So it's still valuable.
Git wherever your ID. Whatever ID.
This is Visual Git.
What is this?
Yes. So Visual Git is so oftentimes it's not by choice, but by necessity. You maybe consult or maybe work for a company that's maintaining an older code base on an older IDE, for example, Visual Basic, Visual C++, et cetera, et cetera. And what can be difficult is you want to utilize the best tooling for what you can use, for example, Git. Not to say that Git's the best, but maybe you want to use Git in those environments. Well, Visual Git is a solution to that problem because, as you may know, those environments don't natively support Git until now. You can do this through the command line, which is fine, but it's not an integrated experience. So what Visual Git is, it's basically integration with tools like Visual Basic 6, Visual C++ 6, Power Builder, etc. And what's nice about this is that the source code is also available. So, there's definitely a need for this, and people might be like, ugh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I thought we got away from this. But I mean, the reality still is that if you're a consultant or you're working at a large organization or an enterprise, for example, you still maintain code bases like this. So Visual Git is a means for doing that.
Definitely. Yeah. It's unfortunate we need something like this, but it's totally like reasonable that we do. Like,
yes.
Old apps don't die unless there's a monetary reason for them to die, right? So if they're working and they're still making the organization money, usually they get left as is.
Yes.
So there's risks involved in migrating and money involved. And if you can pick up new modern tools to support old stuff within your old IDEs, I mean, that's cool. I'm just glad I'm not the one that has to do it.
Sure, no one wants to do this, but if you have to, Visual Git may give you a solution.
Let's see. I think every dev should be able to use CLI for Git.
Yes.
Yeah. They probably should. I mean, it's probably like a basic question you might need to get asked when you're getting hired somewhere. But other than that, I use some visuals tools within Visual Studio. I do go to the command line to like solve bigger problems with Git, but for the most time, what are you doing, right? You're committing something and forking or branching, creating a branch. You don't really need to go to the command line to do simple tasks.
I mean, generally speaking, if your workflow is pretty consistent and you understand what you're needing to do, then yes. But oftentimes when you're working in a larger team, and you have to cherry pick commits, or you have to, resolve potential problems that have been committed to the source tree. That's where things can get a little bit gnarly. But yeah, generally speaking, you should only know a handful of commands and be fine with that.
Dan says
I know.
Phoebe should die.
Okay.
There's a little bit ominous like vibe to that tweet. I don't know, or that text. That's kind of scary, man. All right. So a little more modern, upbeat topic. So we dropped 2 brand new tools last week, John. I don't know if you caught these, but
Yes.
we have the Telerik the Progress Telerik REPL for ASP.NET Core. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but yeah, it's a great tool. So what this is one of those online interactive tools for building .NET Core Vue code snippets. So if you're looking at writing some Razor components, CSHTML type of stuff, this is the REPL for you. So if you're doing the ASP.NET Core, you need to share some code samples, do some troubleshooting with a friend, just want to show off something cool, you jump online, jump into our Telerik REPL for ASP.NET Core, create your code snippet, and you can run it live in the browser, see results, and share that with friends or the community at large. We also have plugins for Visual Studio Code. So you can just like highlight segments of your code or the entire page that you're in and click the share to REPL button. And then your code will instantly get ported up into the REPL, and you can continue editing there and then share it out. So it's a really cool tool. You're also able to access all of the Telerik components. So if you're thinking about downloading a free trial, but you want to kind of test things out before you put a couple of gigs on disk, whatever, a couple megs on disk to install some things, just do it right in the browser, check it out, and then go start that free trial because I know you're going to like it. So you can check that out live in the browser like this, and then you put any Razor code you want in here, hit run, and then you can share that out with the share button. Now, we didn't stop there. We actually, but wait, there's more. We also introduced a Telerik REPL for Blazor as well. The Blazor one's ahead by a few milestones, so you'll find some extra features in here that we don't have on Core yet, like embedding in web pages is a big one. So you can write small Blazor applications, code demos, run those live in the browser without having to download any of the .NET framework and all of those things. And you can even embed them in your blog posts. So if you're frequently like writing about Blazor like I am, well, here you go. You've got your preview and you can run your application right within the blog post. For some reason, I can never get this to work on the first try. We'll have to sort that one out. Again, we have the plugins for that. You can use NuGet packages. There's all sorts of cool stuff in here, and it makes sharing, news and snippets about Blazor really easy.
Yep, I like it.
This is something that just regular HTML and JavaScript was good at, which brings me to the next thing, is a blog post by Christian Hilman. So, we're used to doing all these things that REPL's required, to do with bigger frameworks, just in like our console tools. If you're just using like vanilla JS and stuff like that, it's a great blog post about just using the console better. There's, again, as the title says, much more than blog. So there's different like levels that you can filter by. There's lots of great tips in here. Write it out to objects and tables, things like that. There's all sorts of good tips in here. There's one that I like. If you think jQuery, it's a jQuery-like way of expressing what you want to do in the console. And I don't know if people know this or not, but you can use the $ and $$ shortcuts to select things in the console, essentially saying query selector all. So very, very much like jQuery. I don't know if it borrowed it from that essentially, or if it just kind of ended up the way it is. but you can use that very quick to shortcut and do some troubleshooting and things. So it's a really good blog post here, and he does videos here as well to kind of get you in touch. So if you're not following Christian Heilman's blog, suggest you do it. He's on the Edge team over there at Microsoft, and he's always got something good to post up there.
I wouldn't say that these are secrets. I think these are just more tips and tricks. These features have been around for quite a while. The one that I never see utilized, but is super effective, is what are called trace points, which are like breakpoints, but instead of actually halting your execution, will actually perform a trace when encountering them. You can also put conditions on breakpoints as well, which is something that you don't often see. Those are the two ones that I would recommend as hacks, so to speak.
You could put breakpoints on pseudo selectors and stuff in CSS as well. I don't know if that's what you meant, but like when you hover over a link, for example, you can actually put a breakpoint on that, even though it's not a JavaScripty thing. But you can actually break on the hover that's happening in CSS. There's some pretty wild stuff you can do. There used to be somebody, I can't remember their name, they did a talk about like all of the things that you could do with the Chrome developer tools. They were really good at it. There's just so much in there. You could become an expert on it and like give workshops at conferences just on that subject alone. Give Christian a follow. Good stuff there.
Cool.
Introducing Striker.net 1.0. What's this all about, John? I've never heard of it.
This is an interesting library. It's all about mutation testing. Basically, mutation testing is all about, for lack of a better term, messing with your code. So mutants are variations of assumptions you may have in your code, like return types or expected validation commits, etc. And so what Striker does is it basically messes with those and allows you to perform, in a sense, the kind of like it's, how you do fuzzy testing where you modify inputs with a wide variety of strings and you see what happens. With mutation testing, this is actually messing with the actual semantics of some of the ways in which you actually perform your validation in code. And so this can actually expose some really interesting edge cases that you may not discover until it's far down the line. And so mutation testing can be an effective means of really testing the thoroughness of your code and testing your assumptions throughout. Interesting.
I think I'd have to see it in action. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
They do have an example. You go to their blog. Actually, you're on their blog right now. But they do have an example at the top there. It says an example, and they cite an example where they mess with the return type. It's actually at the very top menu bar. You see that horizontal menu bar. It says an example, yes. So what they've done here is they've basically messed with one of the return types here. If you scroll down further, they talk about a return type returning a value based on a certain age range, for example, and they can return true or false. They can change the age range, return type, etc. So it's a mutation that occurs, and based on that, it will provide basically a different context for how your code is executing, and then you can see how those actual things are applied. And so, yeah, it's an interesting sort of approach towards testing your code in a deep and thorough way.
Sounds really interesting. It sounds like something I could latch onto.
just worth checking out.
I have to see it in action. It sounds really cool.
Yeah.
The good old terminal, John.
Yes.
The anatomy of terminal emulation.
Yes. So I thought this was a really nice blog post. This talks about kind of like how things kind of hang together. But terminals are used every day. If they're not, you're probably using one under the covers. But so what this is basically a live sort of example of how terminals work under the covers and basically what they do.
Animations.
When executing. Sure. So you can go through this in detail and see the various parts and pieces that comprise a terminal. And there's examples cited throughout the entire blog post if you're at all curious about how the sausage is made, with code examples, for example. So yeah, definitely some interesting things there.
Very cool. I like it.
So as this example, this one was actually kind of neat. This one is showing, basically how are, strings parsed. This is very synonymous with how you might write an extension for IntelliSense in Visual Studio Code, for example. It's the same idea. Basically, as you're parsing strings, you're constructing. This is very, very computer sciencey, but you're doing a tokenization of terms. You're parsing the values as they come in. You're then creating from that a abstract syntax tree, and then from there you're processing that for the command to be issued.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I like taking things apart, putting them back together. This is cool stuff.
Yeah, this is like taking the cover off the VCR back when you were a kid.
I love the animations. They're very, like, I don't want to say cheesy because they're cool, but they're meant to be like campy, I guess. They're really neat.
Well, terminals are a bit retro, right? So
yeah,
I mean, we're drawing ASCII art here, so
the theme fits the subject. I like it.
Cool.
It's very cool. Awesome. So we're gonna get into some territory, John. I know you're just gonna be like, not this again. But it's been like Metaverse week.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all.
John was about to have a good day, and then I stepped in. So So we all saw, I think, the renaming of Facebook last week. I think everybody knows that. I didn't want to cover something that was like smack you in the face obvious. Yeah. So Facebook changed their umbrella company name to Meta, which I don't know if that was a great rebranding or not. Time will tell. I don't know if it's a brand that people are going to even interact with anyway. I think the apps or the platforms is where people are going to be, like Oculus and Facebook. Those things aren't changing.
It's like Alphabet.
Necessarily.
It's like Alphabet and Google, right? No one thinks of Alphabet. Everyone just thinks of Google. So
right, exactly. So Microsoft had to join the Metaverse conversation, and looks like they added 3D animated avatars.
They didn't really have to do this. Like you say it like they had to. I'm like, no, they didn't. Did Clippy not teach us?
No, I meant it the way you're interpreting it.
Okay.
Like they really had to. Like yeah. So yeah, I agree. This is weird. It like in the context that Facebook is doing this with Oculus, it makes sense. Teams, it feels weird. Like why do we have 3D avatars now? That's not going to creep anybody out at work when you're half human, half not.
I really don't like this. I think this is just a solution looking for a problem.
Things John's nightmares are made of.
Well, no, I mean, like, listen, we've had the whole pandemic to unit test this premise, right? There's a reason why Zoom fatigue exists. People don't like communicating this way. Now you're saying, let's virtualize the entire reality. It's like, no, this is not going to, like, I'm happy to put myself out there and say, listen, I think a lot of people are not going to like this, but whatever.
Well, some people think you're going to like it so much that it's the end of your free time.
Well, I'm going to resist it, and I'm not going to do this. I'm sorry. I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to live life. Thank you very much. I don't want to live in this metaverse. So
this is actually a pretty good article here. It's the metaverse, the multiverse, and the end of your free time. Decade, the entertainment will try to be everything. It's a good title for a pretty decent grasp of what's happening. And the gist of it is, I'll give you the whole TLDR here, is that it's anything Wall-E. That it is Wall-E. I think they actually make that reference at the end.
Okay.
It's you could sip on your slurp juice.
Yes. This is so depressing. Can we not figure this stuff out for ourselves? That this is a bad idea. Go outside, talk to your kid, go for a walk, play a sport.
Yeah, but the examples they give here are very telling of what's really actually going to happen. whoever wrote this has a pretty good grasp on what this is really all about. And then, I'm sure there's some references in there to Ready Player One as well. But basically what they're saying is, new show comes out for Netflix, something comes out in the movies, whatever, you know how branding gets it, you see it McDonald's, Happy Meals, and blah, blah, blah. Well, now, not only is it on the big screen in your Happy Meal, but it's also in augmented reality. So, it's, you got Pokemon running around your house, whatever the branding thing is, it's just going to be everywhere. It's going to exist in all things you interact with, in reality, in your phone space, your desktop, your anything that's got a computer attached to it. These things are going to be taking over, and it's, and of course you're going to have tie-ins with, did you collect the thing here so you could play it at that restaurant, so you could, it's a whole thing. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. And
I'm sure it will happen, but I just don't know if anyone will. I don't think this will take off like everyone. Well, let me rephrase. It will take off when the sad reality, sorry to use a pun, the sad reality is that once this gets good enough, and it's not going to be for a long time before it gets good enough, but once this gets good enough, then people will look at this as an alternative to their real lives and pursue that. And that's really, really sad. There are theories that have been written that say the reason, one of the answers for, why we haven't found any extraterrestrial life is because they've already created virtual realities for themselves and they don't choose to explore the universe. I know we're getting a bit existential here, but it's one of those things where I think, I don't know. I think we have enough challenges and problems in front of us in terms of reality that I don't want a matrix. I think I'd rather deal with life on, and people would get like, oh, what do you mean, man? Maybe we're living in a simulation already. It's like, all right, what are we going to do? I'm doing the best I can. I don't think this is going to be a good thing, especially when corporations get involved and start putting ads and stuff like this. It's like, okay, all right, fine.
So I'll read the summary, John, just because I think it needs to be said aloud. I like the way this was all worded. It was very, there's a little bit of it that's tongue in cheek, while it's at the same time like direct and to the point of what's actually happening. But it says, the way things are going, it doesn't seem like these projects are going to get any smaller. Instead, their scale will likely grow to absurd proportions.
Yes.
You'll see the trailer for your new Fortnite movie on a screen inside Fortnite, sipping an IRL can of Slurp juice while your friend sits beside you and talks to you, looking like a deep-faked version of Peely. It'll be a new verse where the multi and meta combine and free time is non-existent.
Yeah.
It's very well worded. I mean, this is great stuff.
I think we have to push back.
Saying,
I think,
you agree or disagree. This is a great like summary.
Sure. I think as a society, we need to push back a little bit. I know I sound like an old man. Okay, I'm sorry, but there are reasons why, there are very real reasons why this should be pushed against a little bit. So I think people are, it's that classic sort of Jurassic Park argument. They were spending so much time asking whether they could, they didn't ask themselves whether they should. And I think this is definitely one of those arguments, like they should not do. This is definitely not the road we want to go down. We've got enough problems in front of us. I can only imagine what people who have, like, poverty still exists, quite like abject poverty still exists in the world. Drinking water is still a challenge to get for a lot of folks. I would only imagine if you were to tell them, like, listen, people are looking to escape this world because it's too boring or whatever. They'd be like, are you serious? Like, is this really something? Like, why don't we focus on the problems we have right now and let's worry about this a little bit later? I don't know.
Yep. I'm not saying I disagree with that. I'm just saying it's going to happen anyway. It's already headed there. We're going to see it. I think, just like it says here, you're going to be your product, like cross promotion stuff is just going to bleed into everything that you do. especially for younger generation people that
Let
are
let me be clear
accepting of these things.
Let me be absolutely clear. From a technology perspective, I think what the folks here are doing is absolutely revolutionary, and
Mhm.
I wish them Godspeed and all that. And I think that what they're doing is pretty cool from a technology perspective. The thing I worry about, the thing that trumps that though easily, is the societal impact, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I sound like one of those senators from the '80s who was arguing against heavy metal or Dungeons and Dragons or video games are corrupting our youth. But this is definitely taking it to the next level, I think. And so, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think I have a problem with this.
I mean, you're gonna go see the movie, and then you're gonna buy the bobblehead, and with the bobblehead comes the augmented virtual reality bobblehead that follows you down the street when you walk. It's all gonna happen, just a matter of time.
Okay,
So you can either fight it or
well, I'll
accept
fight
it.
it.
uh, I mean, you could just move to an island. Anyway, yeah, I went there.
Sure.
John's like, I already live on an island. That was the joke. All right. Bad pun. Felt like the argument was confirmed video games did ruin youth. Did they though? I played video games and I ruined youth. Anyhow, Facebook opens Oculus Store to 2D progressive web apps. Now, this is a cool story. I think this was one of the things that was launched with the Facebook Connect event, which they rebranded the same day. So is it the Meta Connect event? I don't know. But Facebook, they opened up their store to progressive web apps. So that is huge. Like, this means that a developer that knows HTML, CSS, JavaScript can now make Oculus apps with their web development skill. So that is pretty awesome. I mean,
It's not hard.
so WebXR.
You just project onto a surface. That's all you're doing here. This isn't magical. They're just
No, but it's not magical, but they're opening up their ecosystem. They're not being
sure.
closed like Apple is, like, oh, PWAs are not allowed to run here. They're actually
Fine.
giving it first class citizen like approval here. So not only can you run a PWA within Oculus, they can be added to the Oculus Store.
Yep.
So again, they're first class citizens here.
One thought I had was that you could create a PWA that has a Z-index Z-index aspect to it that would allow you to navigate in a 3D context. You can do this with Firefox today. Firefox Developer Tools has this 3D view where you can actually traverse the Z-index of your DOM elements. So I was kind of thinking that you could create a web app that turns itself into a Z-index based, Oculus based app.
This also accelerates their platform by allowing apps to run there that already exist. So, where you would have to normally, like, if, again, I'll use Apple as an example here. You might have a PWA application that already is on Windows and Android, and let's say you want to go launch that in the Quest. You don't have to rewrite it now. You just package it up into their app store as a PWA. You already have the PWA. You just got to submit it to the app store, and now it runs inside the Oculus.
And I have a question.
What is a whole new market?
What is the native environment for developing apps for Oculus?
Android.
Okay.
Yep.
So Java.
Yep. Yep. It is Java. I don't know about the 3D app portion of it. I know you can use like Unity and stuff like that. But for the 2D side of things, just like regular applications, like 2D apps, I believe it's just Android.
Yeah.
And when you build an app for the Oculus, it's an APK. So I guess the other game engines and things are being hosted inside of a Android shell of some sort. So you've got things that already exist, like Instagram, for example. So you can pull up Instagram inside of your Oculus now, no problem. It's an app. It just works, and you can download it.
Well, the
connect
reality
to
is,
your-
in these 3D environments, people have to I hate using this term. People have to reimagine their apps in a 3D context. The apps like the scrolling up and down
Mhm.
are almost kind of boring now for these environments. So, not that I'm advocating that you should go this way, given my recent diatribe a few minutes ago, but I would say that you have to, rather than just, because like think about it, if you're in an Oculus environment, you're going like this the whole time, your arm's going to get tired, right? Would be
Yeah.
nice if you get, like, instead of just one by one, you get actually a gallery of, you have to consider, like, okay, now that we have this 3-dimensional 360 environment, how are people going to navigate this world?
Yeah,
So
as you could tell, you haven't used one of these very long.
I haven't used them
So
at
you
all.
don't
I've never
necessarily
put
have
one of
to
those
like
things on my
wave.
face.
You don't have to
I
wave a
know.
hand.
Okay.
They have a little joystick on them, so you can just press
Okay,
down and
whatever.
up.
It's the same. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing.
You can navigate 2D apps pretty easily with the
Okay.
Quest. But there's a big use for 2D apps still within a 3D environment. So you can think of it as just another way of using your desktop. And that's one thing they want people to do with the Quest and the next generation of the Quest is actually do away with your monitor, sit down at your desk and put
Sure.
your Oculus on. You can see your keyboard through augmented reality on your desk if you need to look down at the keys or anything like that, and you could just work. So that's what they want. I'm not saying that's what I want to do. So this helps them make that goal a reality because they've just added a bunch of basically desktop apps to their app store without having to rewrite them. And you can see Slack is in here. Slack, Miro, Dropbox, all just native apps now.
My face is just getting sweaty as I'm thinking about, like, not because of this, like, you think about the thing on your head, and
Says the guy with glasses.
I know, but those things are not like this. They're not small. Those things are massive, So anyway.
Yeah, this is huge news for them, I think. This opens up their app store to a lot of apps that already exist. So their number of apps is just going to increase tenfold now. I don't even know where to go with this one. I did not expect this. This I caught literally before the show started. Like this was news this afternoon. Microsoft launches Google Wave.
What? Scroll down.
So it's called Loop, and this just launched today. So it's, if you ever used Microsoft or Google Wave,
yeah,
circa 2009, this is basically the same exact thing reborn.
Okay.
So the way Wave worked, and I can only go off of what I know about Wave because this just came like a few minutes before we started here. I don't know how close this is to it, but it's like an interactive chat/document. So think of Teams, but there's a document surface that you can drop components and widgets on, and marry together the experience of a chat with what's this thing called?
Wiki?
No,
OneNote?
OneNote with a chat room embedded in it.
Sure. I remember Google Wave.
There it is. That's the thing.
I think the real thing here, though, is the fact that they're applying their Fluid design language on top of this, which is really Microsoft's. This is more of I think, a proof of concept for Fluid more than anything, because Fluid is really its design language moving forward for Microsoft, and I think that they needed an exemplar for others to take on the cause. I think because what happens oftentimes, I've seen this across the board. You get these folks in the design group within a company, and they come out with this design language, and they say, wouldn't it be awesome if you had this and this, and it worked this way and that? And it's sort of like those office vision videos you see of 2025, for example, where it's like you walk in the airport and you got this device, you flick up and there's your boarding pass, and then you just breeze through. There's no lineups, no Sabaros, nothing like that. Everything's awesome, and I know, but it's just like, okay, whatever. I think what this is I think that this is I don't know if this is going to be taken, like, I don't know if this is going to be a serious, this is just my guess, just hearing about this right now. I don't know if this strikes me as a product, but rather this is basically a showcase for Fluid more than anything. That's my take on this. Like, Fluid is really this is all about putting a practical application on Fluid into an app context, which is really, because up until recently, Fluid has always been like, yeah, that's great, that's nice, but you got a lot of mock-ups here. You're not really showing me anything practical. What does this actually look like in an app context? And so I think that's why they did this.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
We'll see. I used Wave for a little while, and I don't know. Nobody seemed to like it. I used it and tried it out, and nobody would join me in it. They're just like, nah.
Well, people seem to like people seem to like Teams, right? And so in the document, I think I saw mentioned here is like, why don't they just apply this to Teams? And I think,
yeah,
why isn't this built into Teams? And I say yes, and it's all in the works. So anyway, this might be the future for Teams. Who knows? So,
in the future,
yes,
we'll see.
You'll be able to control it with your Oculus.
Yeah, in the metaverse. So on to the final thing here. I wanted to keep this best for last for a reason. .NET launch tomorrow.
Yes.
.NET or not tomorrow, sorry. .NET Conf launches next week, the 9th through the 11th. It's a 3-day virtual developer event. We've got a lot of .NET community folks in there giving presentations, as well as the .NET teams. So the first day will be .NET only or Microsoft only folks. You've got Scott Hunter with the keynote there, virtual attendee party on Code Party, which is always fun. Sessions from the .NET team throughout the entire day there. Deep dives day 2. And community sessions day 2 and 3. So big event, online conference, lots of 30-minute sessions hitting hard and to the point on various .NET 6 release topics. So make sure you check that out. But tomorrow on this channel, I'm teaming up with Jeff Fritz at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we are going to go through that schedule. And we're going to look at all things that are Blazor and what you should look at in that schedule if you're interested in Blazor development. So we'll kind of give a pre-cap to the event that's going to be happening early next week. So don't miss that tomorrow. Again, just hit follow at the Twitch channel here, and you'll get a notification when we go on. But yeah, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, me and Jeff Fritz. So we'll kind of give a preview of what's to come with .NET .NET Conf.
Shout out to the .NET team. I think they've done a great job getting out version 6. I wish them continued success onto version 6.5, 7, whatever comes next. Mm-hmm. I think that if anything, Visual Studio Code has taught us that developers don't mind having a high velocity in terms of shipping. So I would encourage anyone at Microsoft listening to this, I would encourage you to continue to push turn the knob up on the velocity going forward if you can. Developers like to see innovation. And so .NET 6 is great. I can't wait for it to ship. I'm sure I'll be using it, and definitely try and put the pitch forward if you're at an organization using .NET to use it too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I've been using the preview bits for some time, so I've caught the bleeding edge of stuff a little bit, and then watch those rough edges get smoothed out over the last few months. So I'm excited to be able to talk about more of the features that they added, and people can use those things in production now instead of just using them in experiments and previews and things. So looking forward to that. Again, catch us tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We'll go through some of the things that we expect you to see there, so you can kind of get your calendar lined up for those days and make sure you tune into the right things that you want to see. With that said, John, I'm done. Do you have any last parting words for the folks here?
I'm gonna put on my VR headset, a la Mork and Mindy.
Love it.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm a kid of the '70s. Sorry if that's an old joke. Shout out to Mork and Mindy fans. Go check out the latest bits, obviously from GitHub. Check out the latest bits from Microsoft with .NET. I think definitely something to keep you busy, at least for the next few months, at least. So
yeah, let's not forget Visual Studio. The release is coming up here as well. So that
2022.
Yep, VS 2022 is gonna spring up here in a few days as well. I think that's coming Monday before .NET Conf. I think that's I don't know if that's speculation on my part or if it's been announced, but pay attention for that one.
If you go to the Visual Studio Marketplace now, they talk about they're talking about extensions for 2022 already. There's 518 extensions listed there, so people are already starting to build these things out. And yeah,
it's public knowledge. I just want to make sure before I say anything I wasn't supposed to. InfoWorld has reported that Visual Studio 2022 is due November 8th. So I believe there will be some.
Well, Microsoft has it on. If you go to visualstudio.microsoft.com, they've got a launch event listed there. So
good. In .NET Conf is the next day. So next week is going to be a very busy week.
Very busy week
for Microsoft developers. So
yes.
All right, John. It was fun talking to you again, my friend, and thanks for the audience for the hot takes. And we'll talk to you all soon. Maybe in the Metaverse next time, John.
God.
You have
no. Let's not do this.
No, you have a 3D avatar we can use.
Oh God! If I do that, then that's the end. I think.
All right. Have a good one. Bye, folks.